Yes, if some of you have been following our short, you will know that we're working on an ice cream course, and I'm glad to report that today the course is actually live. It is called Ice Creams and Sorbet à la Française, and it is all about teaching you the basics of French-style ice cream and sorbet making. Yes, French-style is an actual thing. It is very simple, the process is not difficult at all, as you will discover, and best of all, we're offering a discount until the end of June for that course so that nobody misses out. But instead of bragging about the course and showing you a trailer, I decided to take you through the process so that you have a good idea how does it work and what is the process of making an ice cream at home. It is so simple. And we're going to, from the beginning, preparing the base, the custard, the flavoring, the churning, using the machine, scooping, degustation, and so on and so forth. If you have one of those machines or any machine that's gathering dust, take it out because we are making a salted caramel ice cream, French style. Let's go. Now, as I said, in this new course, you'll find all the information you need and all the details to help you really make ice creams and sorbet at home. And the one question we get all the time is, of course, the ice cream machine. Yes, you do need an ice cream machine when you want to make sorbets and ice cream, actually the proper version. There's 3 types of machine, and the budget goes from super affordable, rock bottom, all the way to expensive. The 3 types of machines are as follow. First off, you've got the one that comes as an attachment, like the KitchenAid. There is an ice cream bowl, it's an attachment you can buy, really affordable, and it's got the blade and everything. You're gonna put it on your KitchenAid, so that is the best option if you have a KitchenAid already. You just buy the attachment, you're done. If you don't have the KitchenAid, you can buy a passive ice cream machine, which is a small machine that's got the engine, like this electric thing to turn the blade, right? And you have also a freezable that you put in the freezer, take it out, put in there, put your ice cream mixture, you get an ice cream, okay? These are super affordable options. The third type is this. These are the active with the compressor. This is a cooling unit integrated into the machine on here, so you don't have to do anything. When you want to make an ice cream, you open it, you put the ice cream mixture, you press a button, you make an ice cream, an artisan ice cream, a sorbet, granita, a slushy. That thing does all the job for you. And you can make batches after batches after batches with those. And with those, it's one ice cream at a time. Well, that's all you need to know. And now, let's start to make the ice cream base. Now let's begin our ice cream, and I'm going to be answering here a question that you may have. What exactly is a French-style ice cream? I'm not going to be talking about sorbet here. You can discover this in the course if you enroll. But for the ice cream, a French-style ice cream is always based on a custard. This is the major difference. A lot of ice cream have no eggs or few eggs or egg yolks. There's milk powder. You can have glucose syrup, inverted sugar, stabilizers, God knows what. French style ice cream, none of that. Super simple. It's always a custard. What is a custard? It is typically milk, egg yolks, and sugar in the baking world. For ice cream, the custard is made of milk, cream, egg yolks, and sugar. That custard base is always the same, doesn't matter what ice cream you make. So you learn one base with these ingredients you have in your pantry already for sure. You can make dozens and dozens of French style ice cream. The rest is the flavoring. So here we're making a salted caramel ice cream. So we're going to be making a custard with those elements. And then the flavoring is going to be a caramel. So I'm going to be melting the sugar into a caramel, put some butter, put some salt, mix this with the custard, and we got a beautiful, creamy, salted caramel ice cream. Let's have a look at the cookware. The majority of the time when it comes to cookware, for the majority of ice cream, all what you need is a pan to warm up your milk and cook your custard, a mixing bowl, a fine mesh sieve, a spatula, wooden spoon or whatever, and something that helps a lot, especially when you start, is to have a food thermometer. That's it. You can add a little whisk as well if you want. Now, before you begin, you make your mise en place. As always, it applies for cooking and baking. So for the custard, you measure the milk, the cream, the sugar. Remember, the small amount goes with the custard. 3 egg yolks. On the other side with the caramel. So this is the large amount of sugar is on here. I've got my salt, cubes of butter. You can leave them in the fridge that you want. And you've got a small pan here to make the caramel. And this is rare because this is one instance we have to make a caramel. So we're going to use a little extra pan. The first thing we're going to do here is to prepare the custard. So making ice cream at home may sound a bit intimidated, so let's have a look. We have to make the custard. How hard is it? I'll take a pan. I'm pouring all of the milk in. I'm taking my cream and I'm doing the same. So you give the whole mixture, a bit of a whisk. You take the small amount of sugar, you put that in, turn your heat on to medium, low, and we're going to gently bring this to a simmer. And now for the egg yolks. Now typically for a custard, once you got your milk and cream in there, you're going to mix your egg yolks with sugar in a mixing bowl, then pour the warm milk over, mix everything together and put it back in the pan to cook. But here, I'm going to show you a new method that's being used by a lot of bakers more and more, which is a kind of a one-pot version, somehow one pot, of making a custard. Is much more straightforward. I've been sharing this in the course, and because I know that people on YouTube like the easy stuff, there we go. So what do? We've got the milk, the cream, the sugar warming up on the stove, or what you need to do next is you take all of your egg yolks, all right? You put them in a small bowl. I'm gonna grab a little bit of my milk. This is barely warming up on here, okay, in the pan. That's from my pan. I'm gonna mix everything together, okay, like when we're making a velouté, almost the same technique. And I'm gonna pour this back into my pan. That's it. So if you've never used that technique before, I'm back on the pan. This is where I had the milk, the cream and everything. And what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna pour all that mixture directly in there, mix the whole lot, and then we're going to continue to cook that custard until it reaches 82 degrees Celsius. I'll put the equivalent Fahrenheit on the screen and we're done. Now when we talk about temperature, this is where our dear friend the food thermometer comes into play. So it's a brand new one. Look how fast that is. 62.9. Okay, so from time to time I'm going to check the temperature, and all what we want is 82. Okay, 91.6. I'm going to do a little bit more. And then we're done. You do not want to keep on going after 82 because your egg yolks may curdle. Okay, it's done. I'm transferring. We don't waste any time at all. We take the custard up into here. Why do we use a sieve? For this reason. There's always little pieces of egg or something that may coagulate. We don't want that in our ice cream. Discard it. I'm going to rinse my pan. And leave this on here, we're making a caramel. Without wasting any time at all, you take your small pan, heat on, high, and we add the sugar. Now you can, if you want, wait for the sugar to start to caramelize. And for me, what I like to do is add a bit of water in there. Why am I adding water in that sugar? Because when you go from a dry sugar to a caramel, it goes from dry to caramel to burn. Now, if you're not really used to making it. So a bit of water, what it does is just giving you some time to see your caramel form, bubble up and start to color. So we have time to take the temperature and know when it's ready. It's just easier for home. Now making a caramel is not always easy, and there's two methods you can use. When it's bubbling away, you can use your food thermometer to check the temperature of the sugar. It should be 180 degrees Celsius when it's done, okay? But that's a bit awkward with the food thermometer. So one of the things that you can do is you're going to wait until your caramel form, and as soon, I'm saying as soon as you see any kind of smoke that starts to appear on top, it goes very fast. That's when the caramel is ready. You turn the heat off, and immediately we're going to put the butter and the salt in there. But if you're not confident, use a food thermometer, and you're going to be waiting, and you will see when you're near 180. You see it goes slow. You see it's only 113. We've got way time to go in here. But the smoking technique works. Okay, you can't see, but there's some little smoke that starts to appear. Heat off immediately, as I said, and we're putting immediately the butter in with the salt. Up. We're mixing the whole lot, and immediately that goes into the custard once it is diluted. So you don't waste any time. Look at that, it's bubbling away. Well, maybe switch to a whisk, it's better. And you let the magic happen. So you want a warm custard to really have the effect where we're going to be melting all the caramel in there. Very important. So you keep on whisking until it's well dissolved. So what do you think? What you've seen here is how hard it is to make a French-style ice cream. And the principle that I've showed you here is the same across the board. Doesn't matter what ice cream you make, It's always the same. We make the custard and then we replace the caramel with something else. You put vanilla, it becomes a vanilla ice cream. You put a praline paste, it becomes a praline ice cream. You want to put a cashew paste, it becomes a cashew ice cream. You want to put strawberries, white chocolate, black chocolate, it becomes a chocolate ice cream. It is totally up to you. You can even invent stuff, and it's something that we've done in our course. If you go through the course detail, you will see that we've invented a crêpe Suzette ice cream, a tarte tatin ice cream. There is no limit to what you can create. Just have an idea in your mind, transform it into an ice cream. But for now, the last step, we need to age that preparation. What aging is simply leaving this to cool down first at room temperature, then in the fridge overnight, and to allow for the flavors to really develop. And then that's it. It's ready to churn. So I'll see you then when it's ready. I'm going to pop this into the machine and see what we get. So how fast was that for you? An instant. And this has been resting in the fridge overnight. And one word of warning: when you cover that bowl, don't use just a lid, because the air is going to come in. You're going to have a thin crust on top of your custard in here is going to form. So the best thing is a plastic wrap. Yes, I know sometimes you need to use a plastic wrap, but it conserves really that moist environment, and you're never going to have any crust forming on the top, okay? If you do, just mix the whole thing, and just before churning, which is going to happen now, I'm going to pass this a final time through a sieve. And now the one thing that's left to do is to prepare the machine. So let's look at that. And now for the best time of all, obviously, it is the churning. This is where you can see the whole thing transform into an ice cream. And the ice cream maker you have, of course, may not be the same as the one I have. So once you've set up and you're about to churn, if you have one of these passive ice cream makers, make sure that the bowl that is provided that needs to go in the freezer has been left in the freezer long enough. Check your manufacturer instruction. Typically it is at least 12 hours in order to be cold enough so that it's going to really churn properly. That model here, for instance, on the Magimix with the compressor needs to be pre-cool. So if I'm turning it on here, it's like a fridge, and it says on my manufacturer notice that the typical time I need to wait 5 minutes before I start using one of the controls here. All right, so this has got a removable bowl that's very handy. I'm going to be able to pull it off when the ice cream is ready. But I'm going to have now to wait about 5 minutes for the inside of that bowl. This is where the churning happened, to restart to freeze and cool down. I'm going to pour the mixture and start churning. So 5 minutes have passed with the machine. You can see the side of the bowl. It starts to freeze. That's the sign. This is ready. So I can turn on my mode for ice cream mode. And I'm going to now slowly add my salted caramel mixture in here. And we're going to be churning away. Now, in terms of timing, that really also depends on the machine that you have. Typically with this one, for 600 ml, it's about a pint of ice cream. It's about 15 to 20 minutes. But depending on what you're going to be using, it may take a bit longer, perhaps 30 minutes. I don't know. What's important is not to over churn your ice cream. Otherwise, there's going to be like these ice crystals that's forming the ice cream, and it's going to feel a bit sandy. Now, the point to stop is when your ice cream becomes semi-soft and semi-hard, with kind of a soft serve consistency. This machine is programmed to stop when it's the right texture, because of all that professional stuff. But I will show you exactly the consistency that you need to have if you are to use, for instance, the KitchenAid ice cream bowl attachment. That's never going to stop until you stop the machine. So you need to know when to stop. That is very important. Do not overchurn. It's better under churn than overchurn. So we're going to leave it there. I'm going to put the lid on. And when we reach that consistency, I think in about 10 minutes time or 15 minutes, I'll show you. So let's have a look. It's been, 14 minutes with the Magimix. And you can see that what was liquid now starts to have a kind of a softish consistency. But you see, it is still pretty soft. It is not yet like an ice cream. It's falling apart, but it's getting there. We are almost done. We're reaching 20 minutes. And if you need a visual clue, if you have one of these manual or these ice cream bowl with the attachments, as I said, the streaks, you can see these streaks in the ice cream. That is a good sign that your ice cream is really not far from being done. And this particular machine has got an auto stop. As soon as it's got the right consistency, it's going to stop. And it then also is going to turn into like a preserving mode, where it's going to keep the ice cream at the perfect temperature before we transfer this into a container. You can see, as I'm speaking, up, it stops. It's done, it's blinking, it tells me it's ready. So now it's going to keep it like this, going to churn from time to time until I'm ready to transfer this to a container. The container, very important. You need to think what container you're going to be using. This is about a pint of ice cream. Do not take a container that is too large or too small. Take the right size. You also need to make sure your container sits in the freezer, because ice cream is very, very cold. So if you take any bowl or anything that's on your shelf at room temperature, your ice cream is going to immediately turn to liquid. So to avoid that, use something that is at the same temperature from the freezer. I'm going to take the bowl out and then transfer the whole lot. Now let's look at the texture. Here we are, homemade ice cream, salted caramel, just out of the churning machine. This is the softness we've got, look at this. The consistency we've got on here, absolutely beautiful. And it's actually my best time, because this is when you can actually take your spoon. Look, it's kind of creamy, see how luscious it is, how smooth it becomes. I'm going to take a big scoop on here. I think really nothing beats, like when it's true, when it's fresh out of the machine. So this is the soft serve consistency. It's something you can effortlessly kind of move around, but it's not melting, you know, there's some hardness to it. And now it is ready to transfer. So you really want to leave it 2 hours. Sorry, I'm machine sometime. 2 hours in the freezer to get that real scoopable consistency. I mean, if you use a scooper, that level here is a little bit too soft. So it's always best to use your container and transfer. After 2 hours, you are set. The ice cream has got the right consistency, and you can scoop it up. What I just did on this cone on here, you know, 3 scoops in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you like, and it is absolutely delicious. The one thing you need to know with homemade ice cream, they are best churned and consumed on the day. You can keep them and freeze them overnight and eat them the next day, but after that they're going to start to lose their flavor and become a bit icy. The texture is going to be a bit sandy, and that is normal, that kind of, you know, this freezer burn effect. So like good quality food, even ice cream, it is best to be made on the day and just eat it up. It's only a pint of ice cream per recipe, so you will be fine. So remember, this is part of our latest course, Ice Cream and Sorbet à la Française. Learn all the basics about ice cream and sorbet making. All the students have already enrolled, they're loving it. They start to post on our online community all the flavors they are making. And it is such an adventure. You can be creative, you can invent stuff. It is just one big ball of fun. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you're going to be making this one at home if you have an ice cream maker. And just let me know in the comment section how it turned out. Okay, I'll see you next time. Take care all. Bye-bye.
My appetite, don't leave me here high and dry. Oh.